Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Burning Cast. Today, just to make things very confusing, we've got two Sams. Why have one Sam when we can have two? So we've got Sam, the normal co-host. Say hi, Sam.
Hi.
And we've also got Classic Sam. Hi, Classic Sam.
Hi.
So I currently play with Sam in TBC, and we've played like a couple of private servers. And then Classic Sam is from the Classic Guild that I play in currently. Sam wants to play in TBC, and where Classic Sam already is. Okay, so I'm gonna try and refer to Classic Sam as Classic Sam, Sam as Sam. It's going to be very confusing. I apologize.
Samception.
I can't help what people are called and what they're known
Well,
in as.
Based on the feedback on the YouTube videos before on our previous podcast, they liked a lot of me, so we just decided to throw in another Sam. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe next week we'll get a third Sam.
I mean, you have enough in practice, right? So
yeah.
Like
no
4 or
problem.
5.
We have many of them.
Okay, so in this podcast, we're going to be starting off talking about world bosses, and then we'll also talk to Sam is going to be playing Shaman in TBC, or at least that's what I'm led to believe. So we'll talk to Sam about why Shaman and how he plans to do that, and also have a quick chat, quick look on subreddits and just see what people are talking about this week. So, how are you both doing? You both well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, back to World of Warcraft. Back to in-game stuff. Okay.
How are you, TSB? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah,
I should
thank
answer the question, right?
Okay.
Aren't you cold?
No, I'm good, thank you. Good. I'm trying to chatter my teeth, but I don't know if that comes across on the microphone very well.
You came across as a family guy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Giggity.
What do you mean, the family guy?
Quagmire.
The Quagmire, yeah.
Oh.
Giggity.
Okay. All right, moving on. World bosses. So Classic Sam knows a lot about world bosses. Sam does not know that much about classic world bosses.
Not at all, no.
So Sam might be the best person to ask the questions. Just generally, we're not going to focus too much on classic. We're going to try and keep it TBC focused. But generally speaking, what's your experiences of classic world bosses so far, Classic Sam?
Well, I did world bosses ever since they started in November. Not last year, but the year before that.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of back and forth. When there's competition, it gets very rough, and it will be potentially a lot worse in TBC.
Is that competition from Alliance or your own faction or the opposite faction?
It's always harder when it's competition from your own faction because there's fewer ways to deal with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, from both factions essentially, you can grief.
Okay.
If you want to, as Alliance or as a Horde. What's up?
What's the longest period of time you've been griefed to try and kill a world boss in Classic?
We had a 6-hour Kazzak session, and we had a 8 or 9 hour Nightmare Dragon fight.
That was on launch, yeah?
No.
Oh no, it got worse than launch.
Okay. No, on launch it basically died in a lag because the first Ashuregos took 20 minutes to kill, and most of it was just a lag fiesta. Kazzak was down instantly, Dragons basically as well. But whenever both forces get high numbers, that's when the show is on, because some things you can just grief almost infinitely.
Isn't that quite disappointing that you bring out world bosses as a sort of a phase together with Dire Maul? Then was that together or maybe slightly after?
So I think it was a little after.
Yeah, it's like
10th of November.
I guess the fights are really big, right? Because it's a full 40-man raid and possibly even 2, or is that
as many as you like?
Kazzak fights usually don't need that many people, and the more people you have, the faster it is potentially gonna go down. So those fights usually take about an hour until someone finds a window of a minute to kill it. It gets prolonged when you have a small number of people. Like the 5 to 6 hour Kazzak was a competition of about 2 raids, 2 20-man raids. The Nightmare Dragons, you can have a little bit more people because they have like a large scale wipe capabilities.
Yeah. And was that only laggy in the start of the launch of those world bosses, or
Yeah.
is it still laggy?
No, it's not laggy. At least our server doesn't.
And is that because less people are coming to those world bosses,
Yeah.
or is it? Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
because
what I was like targeting to. Like, that's pretty sad from Blizzard sides,
oh yeah.
right? Because I mean, you're bringing out such a big content in the world, and then your game can't actually like support that
Yeah, it's
scale.
the support is horrible, and it has been ever since Classic
And
started.
I just see that my webcam just disappeared, but
Bye, Sam.
We can
I'm the new
work
Sam.
with it. Taken over.
bro, I'm just a rogue, bro. I'm just chilling in stealth here.
Oh yeah, I got you.
But also, you mentioned that it was 6 to 8 hours world bosses. At what time don't you just say fuck
was at
this, I'm
nighttime.
out?
Well, you would if you didn't want the items or you didn't wanna crush the competition, and both sides were equally interested in killing the boss and
Are the items that
winning
good?
it over.
Are the items best in slot?
Some of the items are. A lot of the stuff is just wanting to beat the other side, because by that time where we had those long competitions, we were at war or contesting world bosses against each other for like half a year already. So there was a lot of.
With world bosses, I find if your guild is consistently killing world bosses, that's a big flex on the other guilds. And also when it comes to recruiting, if your guild is consistently known as being good enough to kill world bosses, then let's say, for example, you're competing with 2 equally progressed guilds. One of them has world bosses as well. That's a reason to apply for that guild.
I agree, but as a casual, because
it might be a reason not to apply.
Yeah, actually, because I probably would be able to be on the list for scouting, and bro, that sounds so bad. Actually, before maybe like I know about scouting already, but maybe some of our audience doesn't, because like how does it, like very quickly in about how can you explain me in a minute how does it go about, like if their bosses are down, how long do you need to wait till you start scouting, and where do you have people scouting, how do you do it, do you just log in every once in an hour or something, or how do you do it?
Okay, so the world bosses have 2 different windows. One is a post server reset one, which is a lot shorter, and then there's a longer one once you kill them post reset, which is in a matter of days.
Okay, so reset, you mean every Wednesday morning or
Every
something, right?
Wednesday
EU
there's
on the
a shorter
Tuesday
window.
for NA.
Yeah,
when your raids reset.
There's a shorter window for them, and then once you kill them, there's a longer window for which they cannot spawn and for which they can spawn afterwards. And how we go about scouting is you would just, the best case scenario is you have a second account, because you have to be there 24/7 or as long as you sign up for, and online and waiting for unit scan to ping you that the boss has spawned.
Okay, so and when you mention sign up, that means that you, as a guild, you have a sort of a sign up system where I'll take these 4 hours, you'll take the next 4 hours, and so on, right?
Yeah. It's more like on a volunteer basis, on like you shout that something is about to go dark, that you need replacement, and then someone hopefully hops in and doesn't let it go dark.
And so let's say that boss then spawns, you spam ping everybody on Discord, and then you get on, and as long as I guess as soon as you have the X amount of people, let's say I don't know 30 people, 40 people, I don't know how much you want, depending on the boss, I suppose.
Yeah,
you said
it's depending on the boss.
Yeah, Kazzak is lower, right? You said okay, and then you
Kazzak
go kill the
is
boss,
lower.
then you loot it, and then let's say that you killed that within the after the reset one, like then it takes a few days, but to be clear, you could kill 2 bosses the same reset. Like the same bosses every reset.
Yeah. That's basically what they plan for. So I think
Okay.
why they added the post reset one is because back in the days, Classic used to crash a lot. So they wanted to
Right, yeah.
ensure, because that window is a lot shorter. They
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
ensure that even if the servers crash a lot, you still do see some of the world bosses spawn.
And okay. So like you have the world boss loot. I assume you don't do it as regular loot that you distribute as a loot council, because you might want to reward
Uh,
people who are scouting
yeah,
more than others,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Okay. Is
You
there
wouldn't
anything
have
else that
anyone
plays into it?
scouting. You'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyone want to scout? And like it'd just be no one if you don't have the you're rewarding people who scout.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And is that like a
Vivi actually knows a little bit about that. He did scout a little bit for his MP.
My nickname's Wee Wee. If people don't know, if Classic Sam calls me Wee Wee.
Yeah, we call him Vivi.
I got an MP.
That's the mace, right?
Yes, that's the second best in slot mace until Nax.
Yeah, Empyrean Demolisher from Kazzak.
It's only
And-
beaten before Nax by ranking 14 weapons. For what a
Yeah,
human
he
at
wa-
least.
He was very straightforward with what he wants, and I told him you need to scout more to deserve it, and he was like, okay. And then he scouted, and eventually he got it.
I also I don't want to bring this up, but it's important if we're talking about world bosses. There was also one time where I didn't have the add-on running or something, and I missed a scout. And by the time I've tabbed back to my WoW after playing another game or doing whatever, the opposing several guilds colluding together have already got like 20 people summoned, and they're summoning more people. I'm like, Doomwalker's not Doomwalker,
Kazzak.
Kazzak has spawned, and it's like, oh, so like 5 people of us have like logged on, and the other people are already pulling. It's like, oh, that's awkward. That probably put me down
you then
a few
start
steps.
griefing, or what
Yeah,
do you do?
yeah, you try and grief hard.
You start griefing, yeah.
Yeah, like it's so like. Sorry to go on a rant, but you want people to be able to log on immediately, because if you get, let's say it's the middle of the night and we're all nerd gamers. I know a lot of people watching this won't care about world bosses at 4 o'clock in the morning, but if you can log on for 15 minutes at 4 o'clock in the morning and you do it quickly, you can kill that boss like in 30 seconds, in 60 seconds. Once you're logged in and buffed, it's dead. If you have, we've got 10 people logging in the first 5 minutes, and then another 10 people in the next 10 minutes, and then another 5 people 5 minutes after that, and you trickle in, the enemy team, the Horde, the other Alliance people are logging in slowly as well. And oh no, now it's 5 a.m, now it's 6 a.m, now people are waking up after having a full night's sleep. They're logging on, and it just comes, and then all of a sudden you've got 40v40 man raids fighting for this world boss. And if you just had people who were, there committed for 15 minutes at 4 o'clock just to log on, kill the boss, log off, it would be so much easier. But again, it's hard managing that and convincing people to log on at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, were you at the long Kazzak fight we had?
Yeah, I've been in some long ones.
Yeah, because I think it went for so long. It went from like 4 or 3 a.m. And that's exactly what happens when not enough people log in. You just have this like tug of war with not enough people, so that no one can really overpower the other faction or the other side. So we were in a Kazakh fight for about 5 hours up until 8 a.m. and people actually like woken up for work, went to help, and then had to go to work.
Yeah. It's good fun. So we spent a long time talking about Classic. Ideally, we were going to talk only for 15 minutes about world bosses, but we've spoken about Classic world bosses for 15 minutes. So let's change gears and talk about TBC world bosses. So you have quite a lot of Classic world bosses. You have the dragons, and you have
Azuregos and Kazzak.
Yes. So how many are there? 4 dragons. So 6 world bosses in total.
Yep.
In TBC, you have 2. Which is a bit of a shame, I think. Like, I don't know if Blizzard were just trying to wind back the hardcore aspect of world boss farming.
It's also like, I think for them, in Azeroth, you have a lot of places where you can put them. In Outland, there's only so many places, right?
Yeah, like I could
Yeah.
see there being a space for one more, but probably not more than that.
Because I think if you look at the map in Outland, it's already a bit neatly tucked away in Hellfire. It seems like they just added that kind of part in there,
It's just a
or
level
maybe lore-wise
70.
it was okay.
I think they were just we need more 70 content, so they added a area with level 70 mobs, level 70 elites, and they were maybe already thinking about daily quests. Like there's some daily quests for
Mhm.
when Isla Quel'Danas comes out that you can do there as well.
I mean, I would love to. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would love to see one extra in like.
Maybe on the Isle. Why not?
Yeah.
Isla Quel'Danas. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, and it's somewhat removed as well from Outland because that's in Eastern Kingdoms, isn't it?
Mm.
Well, there's also a lot of things happening already in Oshugun, Nagrand, but that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd like
to have
like
a
either
world
of those
boss
would be
there.
fun. It'd be interesting to see what would it be like elemental if it was a Nagrand maybe, or a beast? No,
I mean,
Or
if
maybe
you
just
go,
a bad turned Draenei or something, but just a fucking
yeah,
badass.
like if you go by the lore, it could have been like some spawn of Sargeras because
yeah, any of the bosses in like Orkney Crypts or something, Orkney Dungeons could have been a world boss. Anyway, okay, so do we want to talk about Doomlord Kazzak and then just go over that, and then obviously we'll talk about ideas and things that will be relevant for both bosses?
Well, I think the first question, at least for me, is: are they as important in TBC as in Classic?
Great question.
I would say no, because the items are usually made to be like a bridge between T4 and T5.
Yeah.
So
sure, yeah.
you have items that are like not as good as like, let's say, the leather chest from Fathom or Karatrash. There's a
Yeah.
similar item to that, but it's like just short of being as good as that.
Yeah. But I
That-
mean, for the time you could get it, I mean, you
oh
could
yeah,
freshly ding and get it. It's quite
yeah,
good, right?
it's a really good jump if you can get it before you go into tier 5. And even if you go into tier 5, it's more sources of loot of equivalent strength.
I've
It's
made
like
the. Oh, go ahead.
And as a
Yep.
rogue, I think it's only like 10% worse than the tier 5 from the one you said, the how's it called again? Doesn't matter. The other chest, Bloodsea Bridgenfest or something.
Yeah, the Bridget West.
So I mean that's good, and then you have the dagger as well, right?
Yeah.
The spell dagger with 2 gems in it.
Dagger from
Yeah,
Doomwalker.
that one's big because spell weapons are a very scarce commodity in TBC, at least at the start.
Yeah. Indeed, I agree.
And I think there's also like really good gloves for warlocks from Doomwalker that they want.
Yeah, and Shadow Priest.
That's true.
And Shadow
Yeah, that's
Priest.
spell
So,
hits,
but
spell
basically,
crit, and
these items are about like they're eye level 120, which is about Prince Malchezaar, kind of like high end tier 4. But the itemization of these items is pretty much perfect. For example, the spell damage gloves we're talking about, which are awesome for warlocks and shadow priests, they have no stamina, they have no intellect, no spirit. It is just spell hit, spell crit, spell damage, big, and 2 gem slots.
And 2 gem
all
slots.
of that,
That's
there's all of. So when a Blizzard make an item, they have an item level and they have like a quality, epic or rare. So you have an item level and you have the quality. That determines how many stats that item can have, and because you're dropping the intellect and the stamina and the spirit or whatever, you can boost these other bigger damage dealing stats higher. And all of this is so good. Loads of it doesn't have any stamina on at all. Like for example, there's like healing legs with no very very low stamina. There's an intellect helmet, no stamina. There's a DPS leather chest that you guys were talking about, the terror weave tunic, no agility, no stamina. It's just hit, crit, attack power, and 3 sockets. So you can it's just big stats and lots of gems as well. So I think that's something that is obviously new in Burning Crusade, gems. That's nice. The way that these powerful items give you it's a bit of a shame because people kind of know what stats they want to go for. So you don't really have flexibility so much in what you can gem because it's all
because you still
you just stack your big stats or try and squeeze a bit more hit rating if you need it.
And maybe not it's not too bad. It's actually the main hand sword or the one-handed sword from Doomlord Kazzak.
Yeah, Hope Ender.
It's on point with Hope Ender. It's on point with Spiteblade. But I mean, that's twice the chances if you could kill Doomlord Kazzak
Yeah,
every
exactly.
week, right? So
Yeah.
I've made the mistake about calling the raid to do world bosses instead of progressing tier 5 bosses, and I would say almost certainly you want to spend the time progressing tier 5 or tier 4 or anything else. If you've got content cleared, if your your regular raiding schedule is complete or hasn't started yet, let's say it's a non-raid day and world bosses are up, go and try them. If you're in the middle of progressing tier 5 or anything, just
then don't
continue
bother.
staying in the raid.
I would
'Cause
argue
you might
that
lose to the griefing, and like that's not great.
I would
mean, you can
argue
keep
the
it 20
point.
minutes, right?
Yeah, but I would argue the point that it actually it probably doesn't really matter, in the sense that if you're in a guild that wants to do world bosses, you're probably also in a guild that is going to clear content quite fast.
Yeah, I should have been more
it-
specific. That was during progress as well. So yeah, you obviously want to prioritize progress. If you can comfortably kill all the content PvE, then obviously you can prioritize world bosses ahead of that always. If you're always going to be clearing your standard raids within the week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so let's go quickly over Doomwalker, right? So Doomwalker has a Shadowbolt volley that you need to max range as much as possible. I don't know how far we want to go into the tactics and things.
Doomwalker has a thunderclap.
I'm sorry, Doomlord Kazzak.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has Thunderclap. He also has a Shadowbolt volley, a cleave.
Wait. Kazzak does have a shadow bolt volley. Doomwalker is the one that is just you're mistaking the two. Sorry.
I mean, essentially, you just max range. If you're a ranged guy, you just pop all your cooldowns and try and kill him before he kills you. There's quite a tight rage timer on Doomlord Kazzak, isn't it? Is it 60 seconds?
It's 60 seconds. Yeah.
In TBC. Basically, if you can't 40-man it, bring more people and just have 20 or whatever people sat in a separate raid. Just blow cooldowns and kill him.
I think also one way to grief Kazzak in TBC is that I think he enrages instantly when a 41st person enters the combat.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's how
new
there
for
are
me.
rumors that's how it was in TBC.
Ooh, I like that. That's
Yeah,
so
because
easily griefed.
how
That's so griefable.
the
Mhm.
limited experience that I have with that boss. You're talking about the one in Hellfire, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Because actually I don't know which is one, or I always confuse the one. But anyway, is that you just bring so many people that you can just beat the 60 seconds that way.
Yeah.
like
On
the
private
standard
servers,
tactic.
it was like that. Yeah.
But that's interesting. So that means that you can get griefed real easy.
Also, you can, like, if you're the opposing faction, you can mind control the tank. The boss isn't tauntable. The boss will just start killing everybody.
Yeah, okay, but that is counterplayable in a sense.
Mm.
But because it's 3
it's the sort of
seconds
thing
cast,
where
But
Blizzard need to be careful, because Blizzard don't want to be actively banning people. They want it to be like an automated system and just have the players figure it out. So they could change things in world bosses if they want to be.
But for all we know, that like if he enrages, he's still doable. Like maybe, right?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, with enough people, he's doable. Like even with enrage, like from the
Yeah,
start.
but doesn't he heal when he kills somebody?
He does.
10%, I think, per person that dies. Yes.
Yeah, so that's quite lethal.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can log on at like level 1s. Same with like
Don't you need a flying mount? Oh, yeah, but you can get summoned to there, right?
You can summon there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if they would actually like have the same mechanic that they have for Netherstorm, where you can't get summoned before a certain patch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I'm not.
Yeah, they could,
I don't
but maybe
think
that
that's
is
gonna...
something again that was abused on private servers that won't be the case in TBC.
It will. Whatever was abused on private servers will be abused on live
Yeah,
servers.
but do you reckon that you'll be able to be summoned to that spot in Hellfire? Throne of Kill Jaden is what it's called.
I think why not?
Well, I think.
Because they stopped Netherstorm for a reason. Like maybe they stopped Hellfire for a reason as well, because
And it would just help
You
stop
know.
griefers. Like you could just have level 1s, just log in, die, and rage
Mm.
as the 41st person, or just have 10 people logging on, and a 30-man raid would get enrage. Interesting.
Yeah.
What about layering for world bosses?
Yeah, would you like? How does that actually work in Classic? Do you have multiple bosses,
Yeah.
like a boss in each layer?
Yeah, the more populated servers have layering, and even though they promised at the start, Blizzard and Ian, that there's not
Yeah.
gonna be layering for world bosses, they still added it, and yes, they did have multiple layers of basically 6 bosses each, and
Did you
they're different
manage to?
timers.
Did you? Oh shit, different times. Okay, but did you ever manage to get like kill a boss like multiple times because of the layering?
Well, on our server, we specifically didn't have layering, but
Oh, okay.
there was a fluke when Nightmare Dragons were starting, and someone probably laid on the spawn button too much, and the Nightmare Dragon spawned twice.
Shit.
So like once you killed one, 10 minutes after they spawned again.
Good times.
Damn. That's interesting.
It's
That
weird.
like if that shit maybe not though, but if that shit happens in the start of like TBC, like those world bosses are because there's only 2, because the like Outland is a lot smaller, right? You can get to each place much faster than you can
Mhm.
in Classic. The competition might be even higher, right? Than in
Mm.
Oh
Classic.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
get
And
yeah.
it's also like very easily griefable when you just like hide yourself in the clouds, and on a flying mount. No
Oh
one can
yeah.
see you, and there's like there's a Z axis basically introduced, which
Oh,
makes
and
it a
then
lot harder.
imagine the time during Halloween where everybody got the broom, instant flight form,
Yeah.
kind of bullshit. Oh my god. Um. Okay. So. Okay, gotcha.
So
I'm just
yeah.
thinking what I want to know more about world bosses.
Mm.
Also, we know the loot is sick. We know that the bosses are easy enough if you have lots of people, but they're super griefable. So if you don't get a raid there quickly, like for example, what we used to do was have our Hearthstone location in Shadow Moon Valley when we were going to get Doomwalker.
Mhm.
You can also use the Black Temple Summon Stone to get people to Doomwalker really quickly.
Mhm.
And so we would
Yeah.
start a raid, just do our normal, tier 5 raid, and then someone scouted, everyone Hearthstone, summon, pull, and fingers crossed.
Mm.
That's the best
Mhm.
you can do.
Yeah, I think you need to be fast indeed, and
It's going to be like you have to be like military precision, I think, in TBC to get the world
Once it
bosses.
gets slow, it gets really slow because both of the bosses are pretty easily griefable.
You almost want to, if you don't kill it in the first 20 minutes, you might as well leave as a raid, leave 2 people to grief it and finish your raid. 3 hours later, you come back because you've been griefing with those 2 people. That's literally how it might go down.
It might,
And it's just whoever,
And then the point comes to what Classic Sam says, right? Where the loot is good and some pieces even sick, but they're only high end tier 4, right?
Yeah.
You could like Classic launch. Hopefully, we'll have tier 5 available already, and
that
then
would be
you might not
Blizz-like.
even and you might not even care as much as you would in Classic. So by
Yep.
that point, you might just say like I tap out, right?
Yeah, you might, and like unless you really care about like gearing your, I don't know, second, third ult, you might even
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like give up and as soon as like T5 progression is done and like all your crucial
So you mean the
crucial
second day, the first week?
yeah. As soon as like all your crucial characters are geared enough, you won't need
Yeah.
any of the world boss loot, and it's more than just like for fun and for PvP.
Yeah.
I think
I
the
think
loot
now
is still quite critical, particularly the weapons. In terms of like epic weapons, you've got like the Lower City Mace, you've got Prince Malchazar dagger, and then you've
Sure,
got
yeah.
Gruul sword, and you've got the Fathom Lord,
The Leviathan sword, right?
Leotherus,
Yeah, Leviathan.
sword. So you can pretty much count how many epic cast weapons there are on one hand, and they're
Oh
all
yeah,
from
but the same for
raid or
chests,
it's a
right?
mace.
The same for physical DPS chests.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like till last week, actually, on our current private servers, I was still wearing season 2 chest because I didn't get a chest yet, and then I instantly went to the one from Supremus, and now this week I have the one from Illidan, right?
Yeah.
But that shows that was 6 months into the server, and I didn't have a proper PvE DPS chest.
I think
so
it's the same as Classic. People hold on to items for a long time, like Onslaught Girdle, Chromatic Boots. These things hold their value deep into the lifespan. I think a lot of this world boss loot will as well. Obviously, depending on how quickly content is released, you might be upgrading it, fairly quickly, and depending on how lucky you are with loot. But you can't expect you're going to see lots of spell damage daggers from Prince and Gruul and Leotheris.
Yeah. If
you
can
get, it's bonus additional loot. If you can get it, great. If you can't,
it's a match basically.
Yeah, but if imagine that you're doing let's say that speedrunning becomes a thing in classic TBC, right? We don't know, but let's assume it does, and you've been clearing. Let's say that on the third month you're gonna do the speed run. If you have like 8 resets of world bosses, and like you got maybe 2 spell daggers and like 2 chests or something,
then world bosses
I mean,
are a good option.
Your loot distribution is so much easier, right? Because the chest from the tier 5 chest, the blood, like the one we just talked about before, from
the Brigands one,
the Bridget Fest. Like you can have all your physical DPS already equipped with that chest instead of 6 months in.
It's
That's
so
gonna
nice
be quite
to just sprinkle loot all over your raid instead of having just a few people with it. Also, I think like just going slightly off topic, when we go to like speed running tier 5, I think it's going to be a lot about like not necessarily playing it safe, but having that buffer. Like obviously with Classic, it's more about mechanics. And I think in TBC, like playing it safe, at least initially, like it was about playing it safe, I suppose, to an extent in Classic as well. But I think just having people with epics, like just, I don't know, it sounds dumb actually, but it's going to really help. As dumb as that sounds, like having these world boss drops are going to be so big, especially
it gives you
on.
an edge.
Yeah,
absolutely. And and maybe even more individually speaking, not just as a guild and as a raid, you might be the one who always logs on 4 a.m. to get that world boss. You get that spell dagger, and because you are not taking tier 5 loot, you might get that Skull of Gul'dan from Illidan because you were always there, right? Like it has repercussions for the future as well.
Same with people who like ranked in Classic who have rank 14 weapons. It's nice if you can get like Nax weapons earlier or trinkets.
Yeah.
That comment actually made me think that because I want Skull of Gul'dan as well as a mage, I'm probably rolling a mage audience. That I
you gotta be scouting, mate.
God damn it, bro. Damn it. Shit. I set myself up.
Right, do you want to talk about Doomwalker quickly? If we're kind of like happy with Doomlord Kazzak.
Yeah.
I mean, like Doomwalker is in
the
Shaman
one in front
Valley.
of Black Temple, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So he does like an earthquake that does physical damage. The earthquake surprisingly also hits people if you're flying up above him. So don't feel like you're completely safe if you're just flying around. But the most important thing about Doomwalker is you get a debuff similar to Azuragos, where for 15 minutes, if you res in the presence of Doomwalker, you're going to instantly die. So this is something that is really griefable. If you can get people killed on the enemy team, they can't just come back and
or actually anti-grief, right?
Yes.
That as well, right?
Here's a quick story. So on a private server, we were, I think, same faction. We were both Horde. It was us versus an NA guild, and we were kind of like griefing a bit. Like we were there first. We kind of like almost got the kill. They griefed us, and it's like, okay, we wiped on like 10%, whatever. And then they had an attempt, and we're like, we've all got the debuff. What are we doing? Like, and then like maybe 3 or 4 people were summoned late or were able to fly over and griefed them. So we've both got the debuff, and we're like, okay, what's going on? We're just going to grief each other. And they had like, we had a quick officer meeting of the 2 guilds, and it was agreed that okay. They were saying that they want just this one and they'll never come back, and we're like that doesn't even make sense for them to why do you want this one in particular, and then to never come back. So anyway, so eventually it's agreed that we get the kill, so they're gonna go away. Okay, so we pull the boss. Doomwalker's going well. We get him to like 10%, and then they start griefing us. We all have the 15-minute debuff, and then we're just sat in ghost form, and they get a free kill. We got fucked so hard by the NA guild. That was a guild that Alex Sensual, if you remember him from the private server scene, he was in that guild. So there were some memes and stuff that came out of that. So that was good times.
Doesn't ring a bell for me.
Okay.
Oh,
so,
it doesn't? Wow. Okay.
So be very mindful about that 15-minute debuff. And if you do have a coalition, an agreement,
Dude, that actually shit. That
someone's stepping back, get them to pull, get all of their raid to get the 15-minute debuff. So now you can pull properly.
That is
you can
probably
just have
why.
backup characters ready.
Yeah, that's what probably you need to have, right? You have to be like, you could do it as a guild, as a raid 1 and raid 2 guys, and then you like swap each other and see who gets the loot.
Doomwalker also has a chain lightning ability, but this isn't any normal chain lightning. It's 5 to 10 yard range. It does 2,000 damage, and the damage doubles for everybody who is between 5 to 10 yards. So if you have
like an
40-man raid all stood around Doomwalker, he's going to chain lightning one person, and the entire raid will get one shot. So what you really want to do...
Yeah, you could actually just add people and then
funnel in people, 5 people at a time. If 5 people, so you have 25-man raid, you're down to 20 men, get 5 more in, and keep it at 25-man, and keep people spread. Like with Doomwalker as well, you could like 5-man Doomwalker if it wasn't for the enrage. I think he enrages at 20%, where he deals like double damage or something. If it wasn't for that enrage, you could like 5-man.
But isn't he actually like quite hard as well with the earthquake stuns?
Yeah, the earthquake hits like a truck.
Yeah, so I think raid healing wise, I think you need quite a lot of people as well.
Okay,
there.
well, I'm just looking here. The earthquake does 8,000 physical damage. The chain lightning does 2k and doubles if it spreads.
Yeah. But like for the chain lightning, that's just so easily griefable, right?
So griefable. You just stand between 2 people. We have to wait a little bit
Yeah.
for the chain lightning to go on that person or those people that you stood with. But so easy.
Yeah, it's like also very early on, if you engage Doomwalker, many of those people that will be fighting him will not even have 8k HP in total.
Yeah.
So they have to use like some self-heal, health stone, whatever.
Wait, is 8k instant or is that over
No,
time?
it's 8k
No,
over
it
time.
It takes.
Oh, how much time?
I think it's like 2k.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So the per 2 seconds or 3 seconds or something.
Yeah.
That's a lot of that. That's like Void Reaver thing, but you can't stack up, so you can't cheese it with rest of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he actually looks kind of the same, so that makes sense. I guess.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
That actually just came like to light for me. So like, funny.
And he also randomly charges people and knocks them back, and has it drops the tank's threat, so you can just get clapped by the boss if your tanks.
I think he charges tanks.
Haunting.
Now, you guys saying all that to me is like, if you need to aim for one world boss, just aim for the one from Hellfire. Fuck the one from Black Temple, because he's gonna be so annoying.
Yeah, the aura of death is very.
I think
fun
unless you
to
can
deal
do him
with.
in like a very uncontested time and quite safe, like as in the morning or I don't know, whatever time that you would categorize as that, but then you would do it. Otherwise, if it's within your normal raid times, you better just tap out, right?
Yeah, there are generally better things you can do with the time, unless you're capped. Like, say you're saved to tier 5, you're saved to tier 4. What else have you got? You can grind gold, maybe do your professions, whatever. But there's
arena
loot that could still exist. Oh, an arena. That's also.
Anything else we want to know on World Boss? Because I kind of want to move on to the Shaman topic with Classic Sam.
Sure, I think that's it. We can always come back to it if we think about other questions, but yeah, we can go on to Shaman. So what's also interesting about Classic Sam is you main Shaman in TBC? Like on private servers?
Yeah, Shamans in TBC.
Cool. And you're planning to go Shaman in Classic TBC?
Yeah.
So
I hope they release a pre-patch. Otherwise, it's gonna.
I was gonna ask you on this. Yeah, no lifing for leveling or something. Yeah.
If they don't release a pre-patch with shamans, technically the pre-patch shouldn't have shamans in it if they follow the how they did things before.
Yeah, the day
But
that the dark portal opens is the day that you make Blood Elves and Draenei.
Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
when TBC actually launched. That
Mm.
was that was the only thing I would do the next week, just slash who Shaman
Oh yeah,
and
it's
just see
really
the
fun
leveling
watching them
race
level.
unfold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on like what level you want to compete on as well, because it might straight up just be better to like focus on killing like one or two or leveling up one or two shamans for your raid group and skipping
Oh
the
yeah,
rest
like
because it's just way
T's
too much trouble.
TSV and I talked about that, I think, in the first podcast or the pilot one, I'm not sure. And we were also talking about if there was no pre-patch, that would actually say that Alliance doesn't use shamans in their world for first race, and Alliance doesn't use or the other way around for Horde, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Horde doesn't use paladins. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who would you give the edge? Classic Sam.
think I think heroism is way to pass on.
Yeah, but
No, Bloodlust for
okay,
the Horde, you're
I
saying
got
is
you
too
because that
good.
was our initial reaction as well. But then we thinking the protection paladin actually does so much
That's
for
true.
fights, and
That's
that's
true, especially in tier 5. Yeah.
yeah, and like DPS wise, that like Bloodlust is good, but that's only adding DPS. You don't really need it; it's just optional. But the protection paladin actually might be quite mandatory, especially with a tactic that's you're used to using for private servers, right?
That's true. Like I've seen it done with the druid or like other classes, but it's always janky and requires a lot more effort than when Prot Paladin does it.
I just think Lady Vash P3 Lust is so good. For Kel'Thas weapons, Lust is so good. And for the fight where the Prot Paladin is so powerful is Fathom Lord, Tidewalker. And
Alar?
Alar,
I mean,
yeah.
are you tanking that many ads at once?
I mean,
I
if
think
it's
you could have
Alar
just 2 warrior
2.0
tanks, just do it.
But if it's Alar 2.0, it's 3 tanks, and it's not so much the tanking itself; it's the picking up. And the picking up thing, because your healers actually
Thunderclap and
heal
marking
quite.
skull, no multi-shot.
No,
I think
it's actually like sometimes I think.
they're tauntable. You have.
I mean that's true, but then also Paladin, right? He can trump 3 off a healer right away.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that, like, if you're saying the edge is on Alar, like a mid-range tier 5 boss, that's nice that a Paladin is better. I don't disagree. But you get the lust for the end bosses, like Vash and Kel'Thas. Good lust opportunities.
Another point might be there that Salvation just in general.
Yeah, I mean, Salvation's good.
Tanks don't have a lot of threat at that point because their hit and expertise will be severely lacking. Right?
Yeah, I'm just thinking you do need the Paladin to be in the raid with you in order to benefit from the buff, because the buff disappears if you don't have the Paladin with you. 'Cause I'm saying, like, you could have a level whatever, you get Salvation. I don't know what level you get. Let's say you get level 30. You couldn't just have a level 30 Paladin buff you with Salvation and call it a day. It wouldn't work. It would be removed. Yeah, because that would be cool. Because then it'd be Horde all the way if you could benefit. You just have a load of like low-level Paladins outside.
Paladins,
although your like wisdom and stuff get better as you rank up, but it'd be something.
Yeah, but that's quite interesting. Yeah, but I mean, there's I mean, time will tell, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
But if there's like back to topic, maybe if there's a pre-patch, let's say the rumor at the moment is 2 weeks before it actually lands. How would you go about it? Like, what is your strategy? If you were if you would go balls to the walls, like hardcore nuts.
I mean, obviously, I would get first things first. Less than a week, get boosted up to 60. Then I would probably start focusing on. If I get boosted, that means I'll be free to take up 20, 25 quests. 20 is the limit now. 20 quests in one of the big quest hubs, complete all of that, and have it ready for TBC.
Would you Like, how fast do you think you can? Like, you can probably get it in 2 days or 3 days, right? Real time to get level
Yeah.
60.
I mean, you can do 20. I mean, what's the time you can do 20 quests? It's like a day.
Yeah, but the
Even.
boosting, I mean, from 1 to
Oh
60.
yeah, 1 to 60. That depends on how many boosters are around, but yeah, if you go just from one boost to another, you can get it done within 3 days.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
2
yeah.
days is where I've seen the fastest people have their slash played.
But that's slash
Yeah.
played, right? So 3 days in real time.
2 days
Yeah.
your time. We'll
Because
see.
that actually that enables you to run 3 Zoo groups, 3 AQ20s. I'm not sure how that resets actually. Like Anixia's fucking 2 Nax as well, 2 BBLs. Like
You
because
would do as many raids as you can just to gear up as close as possible to base.
yeah, because you're gonna struggle, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't have that tier 3 gear yet. And if
But
you
Could you
just
imagine being a boosted shaman in like level 20 gear going to Outland?
yeah, it's
Off you go.
like at the end, like if you're gearing your shaman in like a quite serious guild, I'm pretty sure they would let you have like whatever you want.
Yes. Like the other players have had the entirety of Classic to sort
Exactly.
themselves out. You've got 2 weeks. Oh no! We're gonna give this I don't know what shaman healing mace or whatever to this guy's off spec alt friends brothers paladin. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. So like it would be targeted farm, and you would basically hoover up whatever you can, right? So that even though you have only limited resets, you might still get quite a lot of like.
But that's luckily you're shaving in that sense because even if you're the worst geared guy, it doesn't matter. You're still giving 10% attack power as an enhancement. You're still giving 3% hit and crit to spellcasters, and you're still like chain healing people. You might run faster, but in classic that might not even be an issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, and then probably I would just go about my professions, because professions for
Sure, yeah. True.
specifically enhancement shamans suck a lot. Uh, and yeah, just get that, and then probably just like focus on getting other aspects of TBC prep ready, like leatherworking alts or like tailoring alts and such.
Oh, you're muted, Sam. Oh, I've muted you. Have I muted you?
No,
Oh,
I made it myself.
Okay.
As an enhancement shaman, because you want the maces from blacksmithing, right? And normally in 2.0 optimization, you can only wear one. And
Yeah.
let's assume that you can only wear one. Would you even go for it though? Because I think if you're
Yeah.
really racing for like
I
like a
wouldn't go for
very
the second upgrade, but I would go for the base one.
So
yeah,
the
but
one that's
that's
just
like
his
that
primal fires and
requires
metal.
20 primal fires and shit,
No
right? And
nethers.
leveling it to 375. I don't
If
think you actually have time for that.
It's you for the first one you only need 350. For the upgraded one you need 375.
Okay, then it's just primal fires then. Because
Yeah.
350 is really no
Yeah,
issue
yeah.
at all.
It's like fell steel, and that stuff gets done fast.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, like, if you really want to, let's say that, let's assume that it starts, the patch hits when it's like Wednesday morning, right? Or, and you need to get level to level 70, get tuned to everything, and then kill everything. I don't think you'll have much time to farm 20 fires in there.
No, I mean, if you prep properly, you would have the money to buy it instantly from the auction house for whatever price.
True, but I'm like like in the sense of how speedy practice would be, right? I don't think many will. I mean, I don't think there's many primal fires. I mean, even 20 on the auction house would be amazing. I don't think
Yeah, that's
there's going
true.
to be enough because you have
But
all
like,
those people, all those tailoring guys wanted to craft as well, right?
yeah, but what you would do is you would still have some some of the fastest levelers go and pick up like engineering and go suck up gases and go farm plateau or whatnot, because you
Sure.
still do need the primals for the set for hydras, or you can have like, I guess, equivalent pieces from classic, but I don't think that will be enough, or
They're
it will
not
be
I
quite
think
quite hard.
equivalent.
Yeah.
I think you just wear your saffron for frost, so
Mhm.
that in that case you're covered. And for Do you need AQ40? Do you need nature resistance set there, or did you not go for
You
it?
do. You do.
Yeah, I think that might be like good enough.
Might
Honestly,
be it. Yeah.
I hope not, because the gear is like you can tell it's an expansion behind kind of thing. Like as big
Yeah.
as the like spellcaster gear is different, the resistance gear is
but
that
I mean,
different.
like with the difficulty level as it is expected, you might not need to wear
Yeah,
365
I mean if it's
resistance, right?
easy, yeah, if it's
Yeah, that's
easy.
true.
But again,
You could
for
wear
speed
half the set
running,
and just
for speed running,
actuate.
you might want to stay in each like you start off in frost phase. You might want to stay in frost phase for ages and have a fully decked out frost res tank, and then have a really hardcore nature res guy and just phase him once and then just destroy his whole HP bar in one frost and one nature. That could be the play. But again, your threat's going to be very poor. But I mean, it depends how many warlocks you have as well. Like maybe you go back and then
And
banish
hunters with
everything,
misdirects, yeah.
or just
depends on
hunters and
raid
kite the ads
composition.
away, and then just completely like try and cheese it. Like I'm looking forward to the TBC speed runs and see what people do.
To be honest,
Yeah.
the more I think about it, the more I'm like, especially for some reason, for especially SSC, that raid is, I think, so well made that speedrunning can be really like cool, you know?
Yeah, and like you're killing, like for example, Tidewalker, your last boss. Maybe you have like a warlock and 2 clickers, not even engaging that boss. They're already running to the Lady Vash. What's the name? Lady Vash. Yeah, Lady Vash bridge, and just summon people.
It would be cool though that maybe not cool, but it would be interesting they add like a sort of like Warcraft logs kind of thing or where Mythic Plus where you need to kill a certain amount of trash to
Yeah.
like
That will
validate your
most likely
time.
be. Yeah, that will most likely be in place.
Yeah, because otherwise you'll probably deal with that kind of bullshit all the time.
Yeah. I think one thing that is possible to be seen if SSC or Tier 5 or TBC at all is to be speedrun is people pulling 2 bosses at once. Because some of the bosses, like
I didn't even think about that.
Lurker, you can definitely do with 15 people.
But that what can you do with 10 though? That's the
Trash.
different question. Yeah, I suppose that's true. But would you really save that much time though? Like, yeah, it's an interesting like thing though. Like, to be honest, I didn't ever think about that. Yeah, is TSB still with us?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what bosses could you pull.
You were literally
I'm like
not moving or blinking.
I'm like I'm just going through SSC thinking about what you could do together, and I'm like, no, nothing in SSC really comes to mind. You could definitely pull like multiple platforms. So around the entrance of SSC, around like Lurker, the different platforms, you could definitely do more than one.
That's
also,
going to require some practice though.
Like even before get into tier 6, you can have a paladin on like a buffed private server. You can pull that without CC and just have a paladin tank it all, and warrior tank just taunt off.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Like it's all about the pull there, because you need to get that cleaver guy out of the raid.
Just face him away or drag him.
And also those priestesses. If one of them die before the others, they might just like if they properly work, not as our current private server, because that's the only thing they not really do. Before I remember they healing a shitload much. So if you have
angel form like a priest dying.
Yeah. And if they do, then I think they can do Holy Novas, right? So that might be hard to get through. But
yeah,
maybe
but at the same time, if you're destroying them bosses, like it depends if the mob, as soon as it dies, casts a Holy Nova immediately, or if there's like a grace period of 10 seconds, and if you've killed everything within 10 seconds of the priest dying, might as well not exist in the circle.
But, and it also begs for me the question is, like typically many people experienced in TBC would say that you go away from a melee heavy comp and you go more into a ranged comp. And I'm thinking with the speedrunning, would that be different? Because mana and resources is an issue again. So hunters might be more preferred than warlocks, and especially arcane mages, because can they even keep up? Question mark.
Yeah, sure. Arcane mages, I'm not sure about, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you need
but then again, you could
resources to keep them going.
And if they're having to buff intellect as well, they could be starting bosses with very little.
You might do scrolls, bro. Like if that's the issue.
Yeah, maybe.
But the thing with the Archmages is though that they can AoE much faster because of their reduced threat. Like they have minus 40% arcane threat or something, right? which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, by the time Arcane Mage does 4 or 5 explosions, Warlock does 1 seed that does twice the damage.
Is that? Yeah, I'm not sure how relative that, like, how much better it is, to be honest. But yeah, I can imagine. But pulling 2 platforms at once, yeah, that's gonna be. The melee
Yeah,
still
like
isn't good, right? Yeah, I don't see a world where in SSC at least, maybe in 2K, TK that's different, but in SSC where melee become better for speedrunning, trash wise.
definitely not TK. Oh my god, no.
No, because
Alara and what? Doom, like Vodriva and what? Solarian
Yeah.
and what? Like you might be able to get a trash pack in there and cleave it, but that's about it.
Yeah, like the trash.
Dude,
in TK,
imagine.
it's just
Nah, that's not gonna happen. Like pulling all the trash in Solarian's room with Solarian, and then just AOE it down for the
All
first
of it.
minute.
Who's gonna tank
Yeah.
it?
no. That might
Like
be possible, but I don't know.
they
Also-
do us AOE barrages, right? So that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
You need to lost
No,
them
no,
as
that
well
was
somewhere.
that was a brain fart on my part. But that would be I'm looking forward to it way more than the classic speedrunning, that's for sure.
Yeah, same. Just because it's
'Cause,
like it feels like home turf. You know, we're playing on in
Yeah.
home soil.
And not only that, but in classic, I feel it was speedrunning came out of an idea where it's, oh my god, it's this easy, and we're just gonna do
Yeah.
what we already did, but just faster.
Progress
But I
meant
have
very
not been
little.
in speedrunning, so that might be a bit disrespectful to people actually doing it. But in TBC, for some reason, it feels like there's so much more to it. I don't know, like less
People were speedrunning classic a lot in private servers, so it was the transition was more or less 1-to-1. Whereas with TBC, there's a lot less research going on. Like with classic, people were playing classic private servers, and they had a lot of love and attention brought to classic private servers. Like the development was there, the research was there, and then you have like Wrath of the Lich King was a lot more modern. Like it's a more modern like client, so the
Yep.
private servers were closer to what it was, and it was easier to code for, is my understanding. And then you've got TBC, which is like in an awkward middle ground. It's as difficult as classic to code, but with extra mechanics maybe. So it's maybe significantly more difficult. And you don't have the die-hard old school fans because they're into the vanilla. And, you know, you don't have the peak player base of like the Wrath of the Lich King guys. So TBC's still, I think, in the most unknown state in terms of the first 3 expansions for that reason.
To me, it's like saying you have a peanut butter sandwich, and you're saying you have 2 breads, and then you actually don't choose the peanut butter. To me, TBC is that peanut butter, mate. That's maybe a bad comparison.
I
But
mean, I kind of
Yeah,
get
I
what you
get you.
mean. Like
it's the best. Like it's the best in the middle, right? Kind of thing.
It's yeah.
I'm not sure how I got there.
It-
You're just hungry.
They basically like improved on the mistakes they made in classic, which classic was basically just guess we'll try that out, see if it works.
Yeah.
And in TBC it was more like we know this doesn't work, so this won't be a thing, and more going that way. And then in Wrath they were like, okay, we polished all we know that doesn't work. Let's try something new.
Yeah.
And dungeon queuing
absolutely.
and stuff like that came in.
Trial of Conquest.
Only at the very, very end, though. People mistake that a lot about Wrath of the Lich King. I think
I know.
that's why, and now we'll cut it off there. But that's why I'm not really interested in Wrath of the Lich King private servers, because it was best played when it was live, and then playing on the latest patch for Wrath of the Lich King is actually like diminishing the experience of that.
Yeah.
Like
expansion.
the I don't know, like not like the gear curve, the like your character, like your base stats and everything change a lot between day 1 of Wrath of the Lich King and the final day of Wrath of the Lich King before the whatever Kata pre-patch. Like your character is way more powerful even if you're still in the starter gear. So yeah, it's
but
a
having
bit
said
clunky.
that about Wrath of the Lich King, I still do think that Ulduar and his hard modes was probably the peak of rating.
Yeah, for me definitely.
It's it's like the Goldilocks zone. It's old enough that it's WoW at its, you know, early stages.
Yeah,
but like late enough that it's we've got the real serious PvE devs
and
working at
not
Blizzard.
just behind a right-click menu in your game that you select hero.
Yeah, it's like
Just a
MMO,
different way.
like
Yeah, a
goodness.
different way to kill the boss, and that way actually enables you to get more loot as well and shit. You know, that's fuck me.
I
That's so
I think I
amazing.
know why they transitioned into a click to make harder mode. Because like the Ulduar was made by the same people that made Nax, and they never made another raid since.
Oh.
And I just think they didn't want to be bothered trying to think of something new that would work on the similar.
I mean, that's
yeah, how many
very
times
fair.
can you think about something?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like thinking about what you could do to engage a hard
I mean,
mode.
not saying that it's a
Ooh,
good approach,
actually, that might be a good topic just on its own. And just
TBC
go
hard
through
mode. What
tier 4,
could
tier
you
5,
do?
tier
Yeah,
6,
maybe
and
for
see
another
what you could do
podcast.
each. Yeah, that's cool. That's gonna be on the next podcast for sure.
Okay.
I like that. Don't steal our ideas for next week, buddy. Anybody on the internet, please.
Yeah, we get some
yeah, just
drama.
release it
Rival
next
podcast.
week once the podcast is already done.
True. Actually, like we're gonna. It's only like 10 days or something, right?
Until BlizzCon.
Until
Yes.
BlizzCon, yeah, and they low-key confirmed TBC already. I mean, keep in
I mean,
mind, TBC is
low-key,
still.
You don't
yeah.
send out millions of surveys, so to speak, to not do it.
Well,
It's,
depends what the
to me, it's
feedback
already
of
been
the
confirmed.
survey
Depends
is.
on the survey, right?
It's for me. It's how much, like, how much or how little are they gonna fuck up? Just philosophy wise, you know.
Yeah, I want them to have some proper like resources and time put into TBC, because with Classic they seem to have done almost the bare minimum. They just they launched like 5 servers on launch in EU. Like, what is that? They add layering, they remove it, they put it back. They have very little communication. We only get PTR on like Zul'Gurub and Nax. Like, where's the other PTR? You know, for the other raids.
Yeah.
Wanna close up this topic and just go to the Reddit post?
Sure, yeah, we'll jump on Reddit. Are there any Reddit posts you want to talk about?
I
as a
think
priority?
we had one, right? Yeah. Hang on, audience.
Merging smaller servers, fixing your classic guilds into a TBC guild. That's interesting. Like, Sam's a co-leader of his classic guild.
Yeah, but didn't we get that one done in the previous one? I think we talked about that for about freaking 4 hours.
Okay.
That might be interesting for Sam. What build would a second off tank warrior go? In the sense that if you want to get kills on the board as fast as possible, do you
second off tank?
So you've got a main tank
so
and you've got a second warrior.
Yeah.
So is it a second or third warrior?
No, second, because it's the kind of the role of the arm / off tank kind of guy. If you would even roll that with an arms
I would say you would go arms, yeah.
And like just equip a shield, defensive stance, and just do it like that.
Exactly.
If it's easy enough and you're not getting clapped, then you can definitely do that. And as an arms, you kind of want to tank Skull because you're tanking it for less amount of time, but at the same time you're doing less threat. So you want it to be like maybe second or third priority, because you're going to be doing very basic attacks. Like, you're just spamming Sunder Armor, not Devastate. You don't have Shield Slam, you're just pressing Mortal Strike. So it can be a bit clunky. But it can
be a bit clunky with aggro, but I think it will take care of the trash. And on bosses where the second warrior tank is not required, then the warrior still does his job and adds the percentage added damage.
I don't know how much it is because Classic's considered easy and TBC is considered more difficult, but in Classic, every warrior can taunt, put a shield on, and stay alive for a little bit against most, like, all trash and even some bosses. Like, a warlock in cloth can tank Onyxia, for example. If they just get spammed with heals, it's fine. I don't see much of that in the TBC servers I play on, and that kind of annoys me, that people don't stand up and, you know, try and tank stuff. They're just always like every warrior dies in TBC in Berserk stance without a shield, whereas good warriors in Classic, they all die in defensive stance with a shield. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's like the meta, and Classic with its millions of players have been forging ahead strong, whilst TBC kind of players are more chill, relaxed, and aren't pushing cutting edge because, at most you're getting realm first. You're not getting world first TBC Classic, which hopefully will be the race coming soon.
I feel like if you itemize well enough, you can tank on odd classes or on odd people, which is why I think warrior should be able to tank in arms.
Also, coming from Classic, assuming you have a tank set, you can just put on your 60 gear and have at least a defense rating on every slot. So you're not going into it being, well, I'm wearing leather legs because I don't have an alternative yet. You're gonna have at least a baseline Classic gear.
Like I've seen people clear Black Temple with tier 3 from Nax, so like it's possible.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird because so China got TBC later, and they were clearing Black Temple in tier 3. So we know that in retail, people were they weren't in full tier 3, but in the screenshots from Chinese guilds, you could see some tier 3 shoulders definitely on mages and things. So it's kind of scary to know that if the people were doing that in China on the Chinese realms back in the day, would we be able to it sounds like, I don't want to say this, but could you clear tier 6 in tier 2 and make it even more challenging for yourself? Could you have a guild or a fun achievement thing where you clear tier 4, tier 5 in only Classic gear? That would be weird. Your tanks would probably be crittable, but if it's easy, maybe that's not that big of a concern. That's weird. That I'd hate for that to happen. If that would just mean the content's way too easy.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see, right?
But also,
TSV flipping table.
I've done Onyxia full naked with a group, so
that was a famous video that Asmongold reacted to.
There's many things that are possible, mate.
You mean in game or in real life?
In game.
Yeah,
or both.
Yeah.
Because you might want to upload that to a different website, and you might get a lot of views out of that.
I had my boxes on. Sorry, man. I ruined it.
I mean, if it's a yeah, let's not get into
it. But worst case scenario, you just create a mage portal or Hearthstone out, respec full tank, and then tank it as the second warrior.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's definitely worth trying.
I think it's I think but okay. Now, hypothetically speaking, then would you say, for speedrunning, that's clear, right? But the first weekend, you're on the 6th day or the last day doing, let's say, SSC and TK. You're killing the bosses, and then you have a fight where maybe Alar, right, second off tank. Then, does he spec there? Does he stay arms? Or what do you choose? Because specking costs time, right? That 10 minutes that you lose, and I think you could do it in 1 minute as well. But
in speedruns, you just have, if you needed a full prot spec, you'd have the prot spec guy start Hearth, and the full arms guy walk in the dungeon after the boss and do Alar first.
Yeah, and especially with Classic, you have enough arms warriors on the board.
So I wonder if there'll be much swapping in and out in TBC, if that's allowed as a speedrun category.
On progression, anything is allowed. On progression, there are
progression
no
is first to kill it. That's it.
Yeah,
dude. Because if that was allowed for speed killing, then arcade mages, you might just have everybody alts an arcade mage. They be for the boss, get ported in with full mana, and then
but summoning still takes time. Right? And if you haven't been running from the dungeon,
it's faster than drinking twice to get full.
I mean, I don't think you would necessarily min-max drinking, but you would definitely min-max on what makes a fight a lot easier.
You just have one. You'd have one warrior with one recklessness per boss.
I don't know.
Warrior metas come back, everyone.
I don't know how people's resources will be, but I'm pretty sure you will not be swapping.
And what you could also do is in Vizpot, get as far into the dungeon as you can, log out, and then not even need a summon.
Who knows?
Because on
Yeah,
our
I'm
private
very
server, you
excited
can
to
get to
see how it
Kel'Thas,
goes.
can't you? You can get deep into Tempest Keep just invis potting on cooldown.
Ooh, I had to hold myself back there not to make a joke.
Oh, I didn't. I can't remember what I said. Okay.
How deep you can?
How deep you can go? 10-minute cooldown, but like 10-minute cooldown to give you 10 minutes. Go again.
Damn, that'd be nice. Okay, I'm back on the. Maybe you take a topic from Reddit.
We're
Let's
doing
do one
another
or
one?
two more, and then let's end it there.
Was there anything that you want to add, Classic Sam? Any topic at all? Dungeon leveling, is that going to be a thing? Probably.
Could be.
Launch.
Oh, what's your opinion on that 30 instance cap thing?
Good question.
Oh,
Should Blizzard remove it at the start of launch or something?
I think they should, at least for the launch. Later on, I can see the reason for it being there, even though everyone in Classic is annoyed with it, because it doesn't really. It was implemented to circumvent bots, when it doesn't.
Yeah,
It just annoys the people that hit the cap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, is there not? It's like Blizzard obviously want an elegant, easy to understand rule in place because, for example, it would be awkward if they said any account. Like, for example, let's say that there's a 30-day limit, but for every year your account is old, you get an extra 10 days. If you've got a 10-year-old account, you've got 130 cap or something. Because there's no way that these accounts that are botting are old accounts, you know? Or something
Nah,
like one extra reset per.
You just need to
something,
open up
you know?
for launch, and then after a month, just close it back down to 30.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, I
they
mean, yeah,
believe it's so beneficial to stopping bots, which I'm not really sure of, but I mean that's their argument, right?
It's
Yeah.
messed up. I was talking to
But
Sam as. Sorry, go ahead.
I think they should open it up at least for the first month, as you said, and
That's the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Because like if you actually like calculate, you run into issues, right? Trying to dungeon level the first, I think you might even run into it 10 hours in, and you might be fucked. You can't do anything more. Okay.
You might.
Oh, that
just
was
hope
apparently
you
also
got-
a topic on the Reddit. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you might just hope you get far enough ahead of the curve so that it doesn't bother you anymore. That's like
Yeah.
the only thing you can bet on.
How do you feel about because I saw that now as well? Thoughts on the instant 60 boost for TBC? I think that was
Bleh.
mentioned in the leaks before.
No.
That was on the table or discussable.
No.
Well, how do you feel about that?
It would make the race at least pay to win, because if they introduce
20
Shamans later,
euros and you get a 60 Shaman on launch.
exactly.
No, but let's say that it's obviously is disabled for the first, I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
even the first month, whatever time. Like what
Could you
time
imagine
would
world
you feel?
bosses? Sorry, Sam.
What-
Could you imagine world bosses? You're pulling Doomlord Kazzak and you're wiping again and again and again. Instead of waiting for Lust, you pay another 20 euros to get a new Lust.
They don't get lust till 70 though.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
a level 60 boost.
Okay, well,
So
there
that
goes.
idea goes
Sorry,
out the window.
Activision. You can put the phone down. That's not a money-making scheme that you can buy off me. It doesn't work.
What? Yeah, but at what time would it be the most acceptable to introduce it then?
I would
To you
say
To you both
The
guys.
boost, if there was one.
Yeah, if there was one, at what time would you like feel acceptable to introduce it? Because it might actually keep a lot of players going, right? Or just bring a lot of new players coming in.
What's the
Which might be
current
beneficial.
expansion of WoW?
it might.
That
Shadowlands?
one. Shadowlands. Wait until Shadowlands for an instant 60. How about that?
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like it would bring more people in there, mainly like the retail folk. But I can't really think of a good time to introduce it when people would actually still be interested in it. I would
if-
say
if I-
like when all content's queer, but
If I were Blizzard, I'd have launched fresh servers already, and maybe a couple of them being like times 5 XP. Like, mate, this
they would
is
never do that.
like you're relaunching the game. give us some like fun servers or something. You know, like most of it can be ×1 or whatever. But like, I think it would be interesting if they did something, because then you cater to all players, people who can play 1 hour a week. You know, give them something to do.
The Instant 60 thing would be interesting for me for
Or an Instant 60
arena-wise.
server that probably be full of children, and you probably would, you know, just have people quitting in the first 5-man dungeon they do at 60. But you know,
I mean, as a
why couldn't they
proper,
have that?
not yet a dad gamer, but already classified as a dad gamer, I would actually be interested in the boost for PvP reasons, right?
Yeah.
And I'd also be interested in them making honor gear more accessible. Although I know I'm saying that as to a classic player, which has the rank 14 grind in it, and I'm saying make it even more accessible in TBC, right?
I mean, it does get more accessible. Like all
It
the
does,
rank
but I
14
think
stuff you can just buy from for Honor
true,
Point.
true. Just feels like a lot of work still to get like a full set on multiple characters, right? But maybe that
Yeah.
is deservedly so, because maybe you do actually have to play the game to get strong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just like the MMO aspect of WoW. I think it should be difficult to respec, difficult to get, you know, biz PvP gear. Otherwise, it turns into like not an FPS game where, you know, everyone's got equal gear. Like, it's not going to turn to CS:GO, but I do think that it's cool and it's, you know, rewarding to the people who can play multiple characters with the gear and the grind.
Yeah, I feel like there should definitely be more value in loot in MMOs, and that's what I like about Classic. One of the few things that I like about Classic, but is that the gear, at least at the time and now somewhat as well, is kind of hard to get and is like a, you know,
Yeah, with
a
the
sign of
40-man
prestige.
raids, I think that's the thing as well. You have one, you know, hungering cold, one, you know, Atiesh or whatever. You require 39 other people to get that one item drop. Whereas in
Yeah.
TBC, it's 24 other people to get that one item drop. So, yeah, these end game items are rarer in that sense, that it's less of the player base walk around with them because fewer raids are done each week. That's cool.
I'm a like big fan of like prestige and like create harder content, get better rewards, and like
Yeah.
you know make a community, make a name for yourself on your server or whatever. Those are the fun things about MMO, because
Yeah.
if there's no community, might as well just play like an
Exactly.
offline
Yes,
RPG.
yeah. Whenever people are talking about joining a guild or what realm to go on, it's all about the community. I can't imagine joining a new guild that I don't know, because they're going to treat you as if they don't know you, because guess what? They don't know you. You don't know them. Like, how do you expect to be treated? Like, you know, having friendships and having a good bonding experience, you know, goes a long way.
Yeah.
Have you found anything, Sam?
Not really, actually. No, I think that's it for Reddit. I took at the top post for the month, and I mean, we kind of talked about
A lot of it,
I think.
like I know on the classic WoW TBC subreddit, a lot of the same questions are asked like every day.
Yeah.
Like raid comp or professions.
Oh,
Right.
I mean, I have a funny one though. You
Yeah.
know the meme with the clown, right? Like he gets like his makeup done and then puts on his wig.
The
And
clown suit on.
Yes.
And,
so there's
More
four
clown, more
stages.
clown.
The first one, Fury Warrior is a valuable member of the raid with Battle Shout. The second one, if the group comp is set up correctly, Fury DPS can keep up with DPS. Fury Warriors, and then the third one, Fury Warriors can be top DPS by the end of expansion. And then the last one, Strange Scrolls are kind of like world buffs.
Oh.
I like that one.
Yeah. Okay, are we about there? Are we happy?
I think we are.
Well, thank you very much, Classic Sam, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks,
It was a
Sam.
blast.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Give us any feedback in the comments down below, and we'll be around next week for some more, again, topic ideas. Let us know. Any questions, we'll be here.
Yeah, hit us up in the comments. Ask your questions, guys. We'll go through them. We might even invite a guest of a specific class or something if you want to go deeper in that.
That would be good.
We have lots of options. We have a lot of friends.
Okay, thanks everyone. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Later.